I'm going to show you how we can use track history and advanced stats to help you become profitable on DraftKings and FanDuel. It's part 2 of this NASCAR DFS series, and we're starting right now. What's up, guys? Joe Holka here. Welcome to another daily fantasy sports and betting video. If this is your first time here and you want to become a profitable DraftKings player and get better at betting, start now by subscribing to the channel. Make sure you click that bell so you don't miss anything along the way. And if you're already a Holkamaniac, you know what to do. Smash that like button and we'll get started. Track history is extremely important, and the thing we're going to start with is looking at similar types of drivers. So it really is similar to PGA, so I always want to kind of give those parallels while we can.
Yeah, so track type or specific tracks, kind of just like PGA, there's different types of courses, and there's a lot of parallels between NASCAR and PGA in terms of DFS. So track type history or track specific history is very important in NASCAR. And when I say type, a lot of tracks are similarly built. So you can use data from those other tracks to infer results on the current track as well. So let's just give an example. Let's say we're racing at Las Vegas. Well, that's just your standard 1.5 mile oval with some variable banking. There's Kansas that's similar to it. There's Chicagoland that's similar to it. Kentucky's a little bit flatter version of it that you might say Atlanta or Charlotte might be a steeper version of it. So you can use portions of that data as well. Similar drivers at results at similar or the same track in the past, and it lets you kind of see, okay, for my current driver, what similar drivers to him in the past have done well at similar tracks, and then you can kind of get a range of outcomes from that. And I've used that a lot in like betting NASCAR as well, not just in NASCAR DFS.
If you're new to the community, one of the only things that I do ask of you guys, it takes a lot of time for me to kind of put all these videos together for you guys. But if you want to support me what I'm doing here for free, the best way you can do that is by throwing me the follow over on Twitter. And I also do content only on Instagram, so trying to really build up that community over there as well. So if you haven't followed me on either of those spots, and you can do that now, would really appreciate it.
So drivers like Ricky Stenhouse Jr., they tend to wreck a lot. And then, there's other drivers that are pretty conservative, maybe an Eric Almirola who doesn't wreck as much. And so they may or may not be more affected by the DNF. Then you essentially can get a range of outcomes, and you can look at all the past similar drivers at the similar track. So you'll see on that right there, you've got, I think the number one comparison is Austin Dillon at 2017 Homestead. So, the current race since the last race of last year was 2018 Homestead. And then you're looking, I think, at Ryan Newman. So it says Austin Dillon last year had similar stats to Ryan Newman this year, and they're both racing at a similar track. And so that's his most comparable driver. And then it takes the top 20 comparable drivers and then builds a range of outcomes. It was really awesome to find who might be a contrarian dominator this weekend? Who might be the sneaky driver that leads 70, 80 laps and gets you a bunch of bonus points that a lot of other people aren't expecting this driver to get? And so that's how I loved using that app, was in a sneaky way to find who might be a sneaky dominator at that track.
I always want to take a second to shout out my Amazon crew. It truly is one of the best ways you can support what I'm doing here for free. If you just bookmark the link above, or even one of the ones for the products in the description, would really appreciate it. If you just use it in your day-to-day shopping, it doesn't even matter what you buy at that point, as long as my link brings you to Amazon, you're doing your part to support the channel. So I'd really appreciate it. If you're new to the Amazon crew, definitely let me know in the comments so I can give you a personal shout out on the next video. Touched on it before, but track types, extremely important in NASCAR DFS, and there's a lot of different nuances that even I didn't know going into this.
Based off pulling in data from similar tracks. Then there's a bunch of different track types. There's what we call essentially just your large ovals, which is your 1.5 mile tracks. And then we also lumped in Michigan there and Auto Club Speedway, your 2 mile ovals. So basically your 1.5 mile and your 2 mile ovals. There's your steep tracks, which are your really highly banked tracks, which are Bristol and Dover, which are smaller concrete tracks. And then there's 2 larger asphalt steep tracks, which are Darlington and Homestead. A lot to keep track of in my head. And then there's flat tracks. So those ones that are not steeply banked, that requires a very different style of racing. You have to be better on the brakes and on the throttle rather than using the momentum of the banking to help you turn. There's road courses, which are where you turn left and right. I know, shocker. They actually do sometimes turn right in NASCAR. And then, of course, the restrictor plate races as well. So there's a lot of different types of tracks out there.
if they're going to lead a large number of laps, like they're going to have a lot more points on a shorter track than on a longer track, right? Or am I kind of overthinking
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. Because the shorter tracks, to do a 500-mile race at a shorter track may require 350 laps, whereas at a longer track, it may only require 200 laps or something like that. So more dominator points available.
So maybe you've been playing DFS for a while and you just kind of want to take your game to that next level, really invest in yourself. One way you could do that is to take advantage of the one-on-one coaching that I have available. So if you want a little bit more information on that, be sure and check out joeholka.com/coaching. If you just want to continue to learn in group setting, totally fine. What a lot of people don't realize though is if they have an Amazon Prime account, and a lot of people do these days, you automatically have access to a free Twitch Prime subscription. So that really helps me out, but it also gives you access to our premium Discord chat where kind of the conversation is going on past the live streams, past YouTube. It's really where we learn and really kind of get to know each other on a one-on-one basis. So if you aren't following over at twitch.tv/joeholka, make sure you take care of that so you don't miss when I go live. One thing that I definitely undervalued in my head before this conversation was the impact that the draft can have, and I know it's a little bit different going into 2019, so I want to talk to Nick a little bit about that as well.
The draft is essentially, obviously if you're going down the highway and you're behind an 18-wheeler and you pull up behind it, you can get a little better fuel mileage. That's the same thing that happens in NASCAR.
Gotcha.
The car in front is blowing a huge hole in the air, so the air pressure is lower behind it, and you can there's less air resistance. And essentially, the car is able to cut through a lot quicker. So the main thing with the draft is just that you'll be able to go faster if you're mid or back of the pack, and so you'll be making more fastest laps. So it'll pay to pick a driver who's really good in the draft and can pick apart some fastest laps in the draft. But I also think the fastest laps will be pretty random, pretty variable, and it's going to be a statistic that's going to be very hard to predict this year.
Yeah, that was like my next question is like a lot of times you're targeting these guys that hopefully can lead a lot of laps. Like, does that correlate pretty well with fastest laps? I would assume at least in the beginning.
In the past it did. This year I think it's actually not going to because of the pack racing. So what we see at restrictor plates is basically the opposite of what we see at every other race. So restrictor plates, including this weekend's Clash and then next weekend's Daytona 500, which DraftKings will have slates for both. Restrictor plate racing is totally different. And I think in 2019, because of this rules change, the fastest laps will come from cars that are in the draft. Because there will be much more pack racing this year, the draft will play a much bigger effect. The cars in the middle and the back of the pack will get a much bigger tow from the cars in front of them and actually go faster than the leaders. So this year is going to be completely flipped from last year. We'll see most of the fastest laps, I think, in a lot of these, these races that'll look like pack racing come from mid and back of the pack, whereas the laps led will still be, of course, up at front. So I think we'll see a divergence in correlation. So anti-correlation instead of correlation here for fastest laps and laps led this year.
If you want to learn more about how to become a profitable daily fantasy sports player and how to get better at betting, start now by hitting the subscribe icon in the bottom right-hand corner so you don't miss anything. Have a ton of DFS courses on demand for other sports as well, so be sure and check those out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.